Before we set out on this journey into the depths of your inner landscape, I want to extend a small invitation. If you sense that videos like this support your self-understanding, if you enjoy wandering through the hidden layers of your mind and soul, I gently encourage you to subscribe to the channel. It's a simple act, but it allows me to keep shaping this space for reflection and self-discovery. Now, let's share a slow breath and step into the still place where your intuition starts to speak. Before you stand four animal spirits: the wolf, the bear, the deer, and the owl. At first glance, they may look like lovely symbols set side by side, but in reality, each one is a threshold into a different dimension of your psyche. They are not arbitrary selections, and your pull toward one of them carries more meaning than it seems. Perhaps as you took in the image, one figure tugged your attention before the rest. Maybe it stirred a familiar feeling, a gentle inner draw, a quiet, "That's the one." According to Jungian psychology, this first impulse is seldom accidental. Our unconscious communicates in symbols, and when something resonates at once, it often exposes what is alive within us at this precise moment in life. Symbols are not merely images or creatures. They hold emotion, memory, and instinct. They murmur truths we often miss in the noise of daily life. And because of that, your selection, even if it felt swift or instinctive, is already a message from your inner world. You may not fully grasp it yet, but it is there, waiting to be revealed. Each of the four spirits mirrors a distinct kind of inner strength. The wolf carries instinct, freedom, and the courage to follow your own path. The bear stands for grounding, stability, and resilience. The deer holds sensitivity, emotional depth, and the quiet power of healing. The owl embodies truth, insight, and the wisdom to see what others cannot. And yet, before we study them one by one, the first step is simply to slow down enough to hear what your choice is trying to say. This chapter is meant to open that door softly, to help you breathe, pause, and turn your attention inward, to remind you that this is not a personality test. It is a moment of connection with the part of you that often goes unseen. Choosing one of these spirits is not about deciding who you wish to be, but recognizing what you need right now. Maybe freedom, maybe strength, maybe healing, maybe clarity. Whatever caught your attention first is guiding you toward a deeper understanding of yourself. And now that the door stands open, it's time to take the next step into the world of the wolf. The spirit of instinct and inner loyalty. The wolf is the first spirit to step out from the shadows of the symbolic landscape. And it does so with a quiet confidence, not with noise. If this is the animal that seized your attention, it says something important about the energy moving within you right now. The wolf speaks to the part of you that values truth over comfort, freedom over compliance, and authenticity over anything artificial. Choosing the wolf often means you carry a honed intuition, one that guides you even when you don't fully know why. You might feel things before you can name them. You might sense people's intentions long before they show them through their actions. This isn't fantasy, it's instinct. And instinct is one of the oldest forms of wisdom the human soul holds. People drawn to the wolf usually walk a path uniquely their own, not because they reject others, but because they cannot betray themselves just to fit into places that don't feel right. There is a natural independence within you, a desire to move through life with honesty and clarity. And yet, paradoxically, wolves are not truly solitary beings. They long for meaningful connection, but only with those who prove loyal, grounded, and sincere. In your own life, you may have known moments where you felt misunderstood or out of place, not because you were wrong, but because your sensitivity to truth made you aware of things others preferred to overlook. You may have walked alone at times, learning to trust your inner compass, discovering that relying on yourself isn't loneliness, it's strength. But like any archetype, The wolf's energy carries challenges. Those who resonate with it often build emotional walls to shield themselves from betrayal or disappointment. You might keep your heart guarded, revealing your vulnerability only to a very select few. You might hesitate to trust even when someone has good intentions because your instinct murmurs warnings you can't quite explain. Still, within you lives a profound loyalty. Loyalty not just to others, but to your deepest self. Once someone earns your trust, your devotion is unshakable. This is one of the most beautiful qualities of the wolf spirit, the capacity to love fiercely, protectively, and wholeheartedly. One of the wolf's greatest gifts is its ability to navigate the unknown. When night falls in the forest, the wolf does not panic. It listens. It adapts. It finds its way through intuition rather than logic. And you too have this capacity. Even during uncertain chapters of life, you hold an inner knowing that guides you even if the path is not yet lit. But a life led only by instinct can grow exhausting. Sometimes instinct needs to be tempered with grounding, with stillness, stability, and the strength to stand firm. And this is where the next spirit enters, balancing the wild energy of the wolf with steady power, the bear. After the instinctive wild energy of the wolf, we step into a very different territory, one that feels heavier, calmer, more grounded. The bear does not rush, it does not chase or react impulsively. Instead, it stands as a steady presence, a quiet force that speaks not through movement, but through stillness. If this is the spirit you chose, it suggests that deep within you lies a well of strength shaped by everything you've endured. The bear is not a symbol of aggression. It is a symbol of resilience, the kind that forms slowly, layer by layer, through challenges, responsibilities, and moments where you had no choice but to be strong. People drawn to the bear archetype often had to grow up sooner than others. They learned early what it means to carry weight, to hold things together when life becomes unpredictable. If the bear resonated with you, you may be someone others naturally turn to for stability. You bring a quiet reassurance wherever you go, even if you don't notice it. Your presence alone can make people feel safer. You aren't loud about your strength, but it is unmistakable. You have a grounded way of moving through the world, a calm that comes from having faced storms and survived them. And yet, like all potent energies, the bear's strength comes with shadows. Those who identify with this archetype often carry too much on their shoulders. You may hold in your emotions so as not to burden others. You may avoid asking for help because you've learned to rely primarily on yourself. You may feel uneasy showing vulnerability, as if softness would somehow diminish your worth. But the bear teaches something essential. True strength includes the ability to rest, to step back, to retreat into your own cave. Not to escape life, but to restore yourself. In Jungian symbolism, the bear's hibernation represents a return to the inner self, a process of renewal that needs silence, introspection, and patience. If you were drawn to this spirit, it may be a sign that part of you is longing for this kind of inner retreat, a space where you can breathe, reconnect with yourself, and rebuild your energy. Another expression of the bear's energy is protectiveness, not only toward others, but toward your own emotional world. You might guard it carefully, letting few people in. You might be the person who stands by others no matter what, yet struggles to let others stand by you. Even so, people who resonate with the bear often underestimate their emotional depth. Beneath your strength lies a profound sensitivity, one that seldom gets the chance to be seen because you feel responsible for holding everything together. But not every soul needs grounding or weight. Some require gentleness, healing, renewal. And that brings us to the next spirit, one that moves softly, speaks quietly, and heals simply through its presence. The deer. After the grounding weight and quiet power of the bear, the energy shifts into something softer, almost fragile, yet deeply meaningful. The deer does not move with force or noise. It enters the scene gently, like a breath of fresh air after a heavy season, reminding you that tenderness can be just as powerful as strength. If this is the spirit that drew your attention, it speaks volumes about the emotional depth and quiet intuition within you. The deer is the archetype of healing. Its presence often appears in the lives of those who have been wounded, not only by dramatic events, but by small, repeated hurts that left marks the world doesn't always see. Yet, despite these pains, people drawn to the deer have stayed open. They have kept their hearts soft. They feel deeply, notice small gestures, and move through life with an awareness that others sometimes overlook. Empathy is one of your hidden strengths. You sense the emotions of others, sometimes even before they express them. You are the kind of person who notices the discomfort in someone's eyes before they say a word. You may absorb the energy of a room without trying, simply because your sensitivity is finely tuned. But like any beautiful gift, this sensitivity carries its challenges. People who resonate with the deer often struggle with boundaries. You may put others' needs before your own, thinking that kindness means self-sacrifice. You may avoid conflict out of fear of hurting someone, even when your own heart is the one paying the price. You might silence your pain to keep the peace, or bury your feelings because you don't want to burden those around you. The deer teaches an important lesson. Gentleness is not weakness. It is strength shown through compassion. It is resilience shown through softness. And your emotional depth is not something to conceal. It is something to honor. The symbolism of the deer's antlers is particularly meaningful. Each year they fall away, only to grow back again, stronger and more intricate. This natural cycle mirrors your own ability to regenerate emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. No matter what has happened to you, there is a part of your soul that knows how to begin again. In Jungian psychology, the deer is tied to the archetype of the healer. Not the healer who fixes others through effort, but the healer whose presence alone brings calm. Perhaps you don't realize how soothing your energy can be, how your compassion creates safety, how your quiet honesty makes people feel seen. And yet, healing is not complete without clarity. Sensitivity can guide the heart, but wisdom guides the mind. After the softness of the deer, the next spirit brings sharper vision, the ability to see what lies beneath the surface, even in the dark. This is where the owl arrives, carrying truth, insight, and the courage to face what is often left unspoken. After the deer's gentle healing presence, the owl comes with a different kind of energy, quieter but sharper, softer but more penetrating. The owl does not speak loudly, nor does it rely on movement or intensity. Its power lies in awareness. If this spirit captured your attention, it means a particular kind of insight lives within you, the ability to perceive truths long before they surface and to sense what others often overlook. The owl is the archetype of inner wisdom. Those drawn to it often recognize emotions, patterns, or intentions that others miss. Maybe you've always felt like you simply know things without needing explanations. Maybe you've sensed when someone wasn't being honest or when a situation held a subtle tension no one else acknowledged. This ability is not coincidence. It is intuition working at a very deep level. People connected to the owl tend to be observers. You might sit quietly in a room but understand more about what's happening than those who speak the loudest. You read between the lines, noticing the tone beneath the words and the truth beneath the appearance. This is your gift, and at times your burden, because seeing deeply can be isolating. When you perceive things others don't, it can feel as though you live slightly apart from the world around you. You may hold back your insights because they feel like too much, or you worry they might unsettle people. You may feel misunderstood simply because your observations run deeper than small talk or surface-level emotions. At the same time, your mind is active, perhaps too active at times. You might overthink, analyze, turn ideas around in circles. The owl's wisdom is profound, but it also requires balance, or its clarity can turn into mental exhaustion. Still, this reflective nature is part of who you are. You don't simply want to go through life, you want to understand it. What makes the owl unique is not only its intelligence, but also its courage. To see the truth is one thing, to accept it is another. And those who resonate with the owl often possess the strength to face difficult realities, even when others choose denial. The owl guides you toward your inner voice, the one that whispers even when you'd rather not listen. This is what's real. In Jungian symbolism, the owl represents the wise elder archetype, the inner mentor who appears when you're ready to move into a deeper stage of self-awareness. Its presence asks you to trust your insight, to stop dismissing your intuition, and to honor the part of you that sees clearly, even in the dark. But wisdom alone is not the end of the journey. Neither is instinct, strength, or sensitivity. The real transformation happens when all four energies come together, when the wolf, the bear, the deer, and the owl converge into a single, integrated understanding of who you really are. And now, with all four spirits explored, we can enter the final chapter, the moment of synthesis, where everything you've discovered begins to make sense. We've reached the final chapter of this journey. But in truth, this is where everything truly begins. Choosing one of the four animal spirits wasn't about labeling who you are. It was about listening to the part of your inner world that is speaking the loudest right now. Because although one spirit caught your attention, the truth is that all four live within you in different ways, rising and resting as life moves through its seasons. The wolf represents instinct and direction. The bear embodies strength and grounding. The deer carries healing and emotional depth. The owl offers clarity and truth. And yet, each of these energies exists not as separate identities, but as facets of a single soul, yours. If you were drawn to the wolf, it may be because you're entering a time in your life when you need to trust yourself more deeply, to reclaim your independence, or to listen to the instinct you've been ignoring. If the bear spoke to you, perhaps your soul is asking for stability, for a reconnection to your foundation, or for a moment of inner rest after long periods of responsibility. If the deer touched your heart, it might mean that you are craving gentleness, emotional renewal, or permission to soften where you've been too hard on yourself. And if it was the owl, maybe a truth is emerging, one you've sensed for a long time, but are finally ready to face. The beauty of this symbolism lies in its fluidity. You are not fixed in one category. You are not one thing. You are a changing constellation of instincts, strengths, emotions, and insights. There will be times in your life when you embody the wolf's fierce intuition, times when you need the bear's unwavering stability, times when the deer's sensitivity becomes your guide, and times when the owl's wisdom lights the way through darkness. The archetype you chose today is simply the one that resonates most with your present moment, the energy stepping forward because you need it now. Jung believed that the soul speaks through symbols when words are not enough, and sometimes one image, one silent connection, reveals more about us than hours of rational analysis. What you felt when you looked at these four spirits wasn't random. It was a response from deep inside you, something ancient, something true. Perhaps the wolf reminded you of your courage. Perhaps the bear reminded you of your resilience. Perhaps the deer reminded you of your softness. Perhaps the owl reminded you of your truth. And perhaps more importantly, you realize that you carry all of these within you. So as you leave this journey, take a moment to reflect on what called to you and why. What part of you is awakening? What part of you needs to be heard, honored, or healed? Because sometimes the soul speaks softly through symbols, through instincts, through subtle pulls you can't explain. And today, through the spirit animal that selected you just as much as you chose it.